Can I turn a Minecraft build into a painted masterpiece? It's a question I have wondered for a while. It's no secret that the Minecraft community is overflowing with creativity. Plenty of people create art inspired by the game, and plenty of people create builds inspired by art. Usually, I'm the latter, but today I want to give Minecraft art a shot. If you've been here a while, you might know that I like painting. And if you're new here, hi, I'm Sniff, and I like painting. The only issue is, it's not something I do often anymore. If I created a timeline of all of the traditional art I've done over the past few years, it would look a little something like this. But what better way to jumpstart this hobby than combining my interests and pursuing a project I've longed to do? So let's try it. Wait, why are we cutting the camera? Did I forget something? Oh, yeah. This video is sponsored by the ROG Strix G16. I've been using ROG's laptops for over 4 years now, so I was really excited when they sent me this year's model of the Strix G16. This model really packs a punch. Featuring up to an Intel Core Processor 9 275HX paired with up to a NVIDIA RTX 5080 laptop GPU. It's truly designed for a flawless gaming experience and high-powered tasks like rendering, editing, and programming. To handle the heat of that power, the Strix is built with an end-to-end vapor chamber alongside a sandwich heatsink, tri-fan technology, and Conductonaut Extreme liquid metal on the CPU and GPU. Personally, I think this is where ROG's laptops really shine. As someone who grew up as a laptop gamer, heat was always a concern, but ROG is on it. This laptop also features a crystal clear 16-inch 2.5K 240Hz Nebula display, and it captures lovely on camera thanks to its 100% DCI-P3 coverage and ACR technology, which significantly helps with reflections and contrast. Now, I know that was a lot of information, and what you really want to know is if it runs that one particular game, maybe with silly mods and shaders, and so I will give the people what they want and I will say yes. Yes, it can. However, if you want to learn more about ROG's amazing tech and their upcoming products, you can tune into their annual showcase. ROG CES 2026 will be live streamed globally on January 5th. It'll feature tech demonstrations and exciting reveals, including a mystery product ROG is working on with Kojima Productions. You can check out the link in my description to purchase your own ROG Strix G16 and to check out details on the upcoming CES. Thank you so much to ROG for sponsoring this video, and now let's really get started. First, we need a build to be our subject for this experiment. While I have plenty of buildings to draw from, including my hyper-detailed chisel and bit builds, I decided to make an entirely new build just for this project. First, I found a lovely seed and scoped out a spot. This little hill sprinkled with cherry trees was perfect up close and from a distance. For an extended background, I've added distance horizons, just in case it gets incorporated into the painting. The block palette I chose was light and airy, comprising of pale oak, cherry, birch, and copper. It would go well with the whimsical little cottage I had in mind. I started with what would be the focal point, but then quickly found myself distracted by display entities. This latest innovation of wizardry is completely vanilla, although the mod Axiom makes the process of manipulating them a lot easier. They're like little block models you can move around, stretch, and rotate, and it can all be loaded in a vanilla world. This led me on a minor tangent as I played around with Axiom display entities to create some illegal yet delicious details on my build. Especially when it came to layering foliage, I was having a blast. I felt like I was perfectly achieving that fluffy, overgrown look. Now, in hindsight, this was the worst thing I could have done. By making the build extra detailed, I was setting myself up with a hefty reference, but it was so fun and a future Sniff's problem. During the building process, I recalled a comment a fan made to me. They expressed that my builds reminded them of Claude Monet, both his artwork and his home in Giverny, France. Upon searching for a photo of this house, I was delighted to learn that just like my building, it was pink with lush green foliage. But funny enough, that's not the only connection this project has to Claude Monet. Claude Monet, born November 14, 1840, is a French painter largely considered the founder of Impressionism, a 19th century art movement. It's vague, but it has its philosophies around outdoor paintings, capturing scenes of life, small visible brushstrokes, and a focus on light and color. With those descriptions, I find it hard not to think of Minecraft. An everyday screenshot of this game feels like an impressionist painting, so surely a painting of a Minecraft screenshot would be impressionistic by nature. Oh ho ho ho, and that's how I knew we were onto something. I kept at my build, cramming in detail after detail despite knowing the pain it would cause me down the line. Although I only needed one side for this painting, I did do the entire building, because this build will be available for early access download on my Patreon. For about 2 years now, this channel has been run exclusively by my partner Bones and I, and if it wasn't for our Patreon members, we wouldn't be able to take our time producing the content that we do. If you have disposable income and are interested in supporting us, it will be in the description below, but otherwise, even subscribing or commenting on our videos is free support that goes a long way. Oh, and would you look at that, the build is complete. For taking our reference photo, I ended up using flashback for a few reasons. 1, I could change the aspect ratio with much more ease, and 2, I could render the screenshot at a higher resolution than my monitor. I played with the time of day, angles, and my shaders until I settled on 2 different views. One was arguably a better composition, while the other showed off the build in detail. It was tough, but ultimately I chose the second. With all of that complete, we can bring the process out of the game. I mentioned that I don't paint much nowadays, but in the past few years, I have developed a snobbish preference for painting on wood panels over canvas. I just appreciate the sturdiness, especially in larger pieces. The only issue is I live in Nowhere Town, population 0 art store, and I didn't want to wait 2 weeks for it to ship, so I made my own. There is a nice advantage to this. By making my own, I could actually make it a bit thinner, which is helpful for framing it later down the line. I used birch plywood and reinforced the back with scraps of oak. I wish I took better footage of this part of the process, but the state of my workshop is so bad, I didn't want to cause a crisis amongst garage dads globally. With the panels assembled, I first coated them in a layer of bin shellac base primer sealer, because it's the best thing I could think of to block the tannins. For those who don't know, wood tannins are naturally occurring acid chemicals found in tree sap. They remain dormant in dry wood and can be reactivated when wood gets wet. If wood is painted on with products not specifically designed to trap tannins, the tannins can bleed through to the surface, resulting in brown, tan, or yellow stains. I bestow this information upon you so that you do not make the same mistakes that I've made. In between a few coats, I gave everything a nice sanding and eventually transitioned to your regular gesso. Ta-da! The perfect panel. Sort of. Now we just need to transfer the image onto the panel, and to do that, I'm going to use a projector. I know that likely caused a lot of pearl clutching, but I widely prefer it to other forms of transferring, such as gridding. I would like to get better at my initial drafting onto canvas. However, with such a complex and linear design, this was the only way I was going to get this project done in a timely manner. Not that the projector was even doing much. In all fairness, my sketches are never meant to be that great, and usually I use them to get a general idea of where things go. I even gave up on using the ruler early on, and I just started freehanding everything, trying to get it all done before my iPad died. Once the sketch was complete, I did a pretty blue light wash, and now it's time to make our palette. For today's painting, I'll be using Liquitex Heavy Body Acrylic Paint, because it's too hot for me to have the window open and I like my brain cells. To prevent quick drying and to preserve my paints, I make my palettes in these little stay wet containers, and use a slow drying medium as well. I didn't know it at the time, but I did add a little bit too much medium here, and my paints were about to get really watery. I hadn't used acrylic paints in maybe over a year, so I was in for a ride when I sat down to paint and realized, oh my gosh, this sucks. The paint was super thin with little pigment, and I wasn't sure where to start because this wasn't my style of painting either. For reference as to how different this is than my usual art, here are the last 2 paintings I did. In my head, I figured I'd just lay down the paint thicker, but even the thick paint was like, thin? I just needed to build up my layers, place base colors, and keep going. Painting is all about trusting the process, but admittedly, I was feeling a little distrustful. I was also fighting my instincts to use smaller brushes when unnecessary and dive into extreme details immediately. Okay, wow, this really is just like a Minecraft build for me, huh? Okay, you know what? Break time. When I came back to painting the next day, it was unusually cool outside, and I was able to open my window, put on some music, and finally get into the process. I was still focusing on laying down base colors, but I was finally starting to get into those details at the right time. I could have used painter's tape or other tools to keep my lines sharp, but I grew fond of those loose, uneven brushstrokes, and it felt like a good exercise. Ironically, I ended up following the same pattern of detailing that I did during the building process, starting with the most prominent face of the building. As predicted, my display entity details were a rough add-in, but they also turned out to be the most serene and beautiful aspects of the painting. If I can give any advice to someone attempting this style, I think it's important to follow the Impressionist philosophy and look at your painting not just as a whole subject, but as smaller shapes of lights and colors. I was very intimidated by this project at first, but by breaking things down in my mind to their most basic shapes, I felt a little more at ease, and in turn, the process became much more enjoyable. It also helped that I wasn't alone. You'll see throughout much of this footage that my cat Bug was perched upon the window, offering her companionship and her hair to be cemented into the paint. To my delight, the cooler days continued and so did my motivation. While I still had moments of doubt, I tried letting go of all worries I held and just allowed myself to paint, because making something was better than making nothing at all, which honestly has been a philosophy that has gotten me out of a lot of art blocks. Now that we're into the flow of the painting, I wanted to talk a little bit about Minecraft, art, and motivation. I think this is something a lot of artists relate to, but the reason my motivation for art deteriorated was because of the rise of generative AI. It wasn't even the AI itself, but rather the conversations I started to see around art and the diminishing value of human creativity to other people. I didn't realize it, but even though I didn't agree with those conversations, they were still negatively affecting my relationship with art, and it got to the point where I stopped making it altogether, kind of. Another reason I wanted to make this painting is because of how important Minecraft is to me artistically. When my mind was in the dump and I felt hopeless about creating art, Minecraft remained an artistic outlet, even when I didn't know it. Whether it was the builds I made, or the stories I started to tell, or the cinematography, I was making art, and in turn those around me enthusiastically did the same. Minecraft and content creation helped me relearn the value of process over product. Because at the end of the day, that's what people relate to, connect to, and appreciate. I mean, I'm assuming you, the viewer, clicked on this video for that very reason. Or who knows, maybe it's on autoplay and you fell asleep. In that case, sweet dreams? My point is, the awe I feel when exploring a Minecraft map or looking at a piece of art in a museum comes not from the piece itself, but from the fact that somebody made it exist. That existence is resistance in the wake of generative AI, and while it's sad sometimes to see respect for art decline, instead of sitting back and watching it, the best thing we can do is create. And if you're still hesitant because you're worried about the quality of your work or just how good it is, remember, just make it exist first, you can make it better later. As I neared the end of this painting, I started feeling really satisfied with it, and it kind of gave me a sense of deja vu, like I was back in my Minecraft world placing those final details. Before I show you the completed painting, we actually have one last side quest to do. To truly make this piece from start to finish, I decided to construct a custom frame using some recycled materials. For that material, I chose this older frame a nice lady on Facebook gave me for free. I thought the flower motifs would be a nice fit for the subject of the painting. At first, I covered it in gilding wax to create a gold finish, but then I decided to give real gilding a shot. I've only gilded 2 frames in my life, the very first frame I made and the frame I made for my Technoblade piece. Gilding truly gives a frame a level of shine that paint just can't replicate, but it comes at the cost of, well, the cost, money, and also the high skill ceiling that gilding has. I don't have the money or talent to use real gold leaf, so for this frame I'm going to use an imitation. I repainted the frame black for a solid base and then started to apply my sizing liquid. This is a special kind of adhesive and we're actually going to wait for it to dry to attack. An hour and a half later, I came back and now we have to do the toughest part, actually applying the leaf. I knew this frame would be difficult because of the detailing, but holy moly, I was holding my breath the entire time. For those who don't know, gold leaf is very delicate and flimsy. It can stick to the oils on your skin and blow away with a single breath. Still, I persisted. I laid down as many flat sheets as I could, brushed away excess material, and burnished the details. There are cracks, and it's not a 100% perfect cover, but I gotta say, this is the best gilding job I've done, and I'm really happy with it. To prevent tarnish, I covered it in a lacquer, and now it's time to varnish the painting itself. This is a really important step for protecting your piece from UV damage and scuffs. It's the final blanket to unify the sheen, and the moment you know you're truly done with a piece, because after you varnish it, there's no going, wait, something's happening. I very quickly noticed the varnish was struggling to level itself, leaving a streaky finish over my entire painting. I tried to fix this with several more coats and some light sanding, but the shine was absolutely busted. I definitely have my theories as to why this happened. I think my varnish wasn't properly closed and evaporated to a thicker, more concentrated mix. Oh no. Either way, it was severely bothering me and I came to the tough decision to remove it. I started with the lightest solvent I could and slowly worked my way through harsher chemicals. Unfortunately, the only thing that was working was isopropyl alcohol, which can also damage the painting. I spent so many hours trying to remove the varnish, carefully laying down the alcohol and immediately swiping it off. Some might ask why I didn't just take the L and move on, but I really wanted this piece to be of high quality. Whether someone reached out to buy it or I gave it to someone special, I wanted them to have the best possible. I was able to remove most of it, but at a severe cost. All of the texture of the painting had been polished down, and there were several spots of damage. To be honest with you guys, I was feeling very frustrated with both the painting and myself, so I decided to take a break and come back to it in the morning. When I came back, I put on some YouTube, laid out a palette, and got to work repainting the entire piece. Maybe it's odd to say this, but in a way I am kind of glad that this happened because this second repaint, in my opinion, is way more true to the Impressionist style. It allowed me to add more texture and fix things I wasn't entirely satisfied with. When that dried, I sealed up everything with a spray matte varnish. And finally, I could put everything together. Here is my officially completed masterpiece, if that's what you want to call it. I'm still not sure, but I'm proud that I completed it at least. So to answer the question of this video, can I turn my Minecraft build into a painted masterpiece? It probably depends on who you ask. A wonderful thank you to my Patreon members. This video was supposed to release in September, but I spent some extra time seeing if I could get some prints made of the art, and then that didn't happen, and then I got completely swept up in the last video. I'm really glad it's out now though. I know there's a lot of irony here considering this art was made for a YouTube video with an ad, something everyone's an artist until their rent is due. But I hope that the art shines through and at least inspires something within you, even if it's only to a degree. And no matter how it performs, I'm really glad that I made it. I really love that painting. Regular Minecraft content will return soon, though it's probably gonna be some shorter videos while I work on larger projects in the background. Either way, I hope you guys have a happy new year, and always remember to take care of yourself, each other, and the spaces you occupy.